Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on my channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys viewing my page. And then today what we'll be covering is the Baofeng UV-5R. And the idea with this is that you can start playing with your radio so you know how to use it. The reason why is if you actually do need it, you're in a dire type of situation and you don't know the functionality of it, it's going to be as useless as a paperweight. So the idea with this is we'll be covering today your normal setting in of a radio frequency and also how to utilize a repeater. I will also be going over some of the functionality on the radio just to make yourself better accustomed to it. But the best way you guys are going to learn is when you actually play with it. So I do understand that a radio programmer for the prepper community that you might be in actually already put some channels for you on it. You don't have to worry about it. You won't mess it up. It's just that you learn your radio, so then when you actually do need to use the functionality of the keypad, you'll be able to do that. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so this is the Baofeng UV-5R. On top we have the power on off switch, which is also your volume control. And your orange button that you have here moves you from channel mode to frequency mode. So if you think about it logically, the UV-5R has two modes. It has the channel mode on which all your channels are saved. It can range up to 127 channels. And on the other side, you have the frequency mode where you can basically play around with. This is now where you would use the keypad to type in a frequency, let's say 140,000, and then you would save the channel or not. The A and B button, when you look at the Baofeng UV-5R, you will see that on top there is a channel and at the bottom there is a channel. Now to select between the two channels, you will utilize the blue button, which is marked A and B. And as you press them, you will basically see that the arrow moves downwards or upwards. So wherever the arrow is positioned is on which channel you currently are. The band button will switch you from VHF to UHF, but I almost never use it, and I don't think you will ever use it. You won't need to. At the keypad below, you have your menu button, you have your scroll up button, your scroll down button, and you have your exit button. Now, these buttons, including your orange button, are the ones that you are going to use for the bulk of this exercise. Below these buttons that you will be utilizing within your menu, you have your numeric keypad running 1 through to 0, and you also have a star key and a hash key. One key I want you to pay attention to is the star key, which on the side also states scan. Now, how this would be utilized is when you are either in channel mode or in frequency mode, you hold this button in. What will happen is it will scan through your channels to pick up any type of chatter. So in other words, if someone is speaking. But if you are in frequency mode and you're holding the scan button, it will actually step by step go through all the frequencies till it finds someone speaking. So if nothing is happening on your channels and you direly need to contact someone, you can go into frequency mode with the use of this button, and you'll be able to press scan and it will go through all the frequencies. Okay. There is a function within the menu that you can say how big the jumps should be through the frequency that it is scanning, but we'll get to that a bit later. And then on the side of your Wookiee, you are going to find your PTT button. In other words, if you press this and you communicate, then your message will go through. Obviously, you need to release the button to be able to receive. We have this Moni button, which is basically for monitor. But when you press it, you get a flashlight that activates on top. Press it again, it has like a disco beacon, and press it again and it will go off. On the top left hand side, you have your normal radio. In other words, the radio that usually plays music through the day button. So if you would press that button, lovely tune, it will go to your radio that you preset it on. So with the radio button, you can basically scroll up and scroll down, and in increments it will change your radio station, so you can pick up whatever local radio station you have in your area. Okay, so as for the basics of this radio, I've gone through it. Next, we'll be looking at how to program in your own channel. Okay, so guys, when we do want to program a channel, firstly, it is important for me to note that you shouldn't be scared to play with your radio. So in a lot of the communities that I've seen, the people have some radio technician that usually assists the whole community, and he would then pre-program the whole radio for you as a person. But keep this in mind. If you don't use this radio now, while everything is like a calm and lovely, the problem is going to be that if something were to happen and you were in a dire need, needing to know how to operate this radio, you will have no clue, and you will probably not have access to internet, being able to see how to program the radio or how the radio works. So this is the ideal time to make your mistakes, is while everything is still fine. So with that said, you have your
frequency mode
and you have your
channel mode.
So your channel mode, you will always be able to see with the numbers that are at the right top. So next to the frequency that you see there, it says channel
mode,
channel 121 and channel 120. The reason why my channels are so high is for the purpose of this video, because I have preset channels that I already utilize. Okay, so when you go over to frequency mode, you will be able to type in whatever frequency you would like. So let's say, for instance, 170,000 is the channel that I want. Then you would press menu, and I would scroll up all the way to number 27, if I remember correctly. Okay. And on number 27, it states memory channel. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press menu again.
Memory channel.
You see the arrow moves downwards. So this means that you have basically entered the function. If I press menu again, it accepts the function if I did change it. But like you guys saw now, if you're in the menu too long and you do not press any buttons, what's going to happen is it's going to automatically exit the menu screen. But okay, to continue, you just press menu again. You see it's where you left off at menu item number 27, which is memory channel.
Memory channel.
Press it again, and then on the numeric keypad, I can enter the number I would like to save.
Receiving memory.
But take note, now it's stated receiving memory. Okay, so there's a receiving memory and there's a transmitting memory. So if I were to press menu again, just to go back into the menu, it took away the number I was busy with, but okay, I still enter because this is where I want to be. Go and press again 122, and the CH next to it indicates there's already a channel like that.
Transmitting memory.
And now, because I did it for a second time, it also saved exactly the same transmitting memory. Okay.
Channel mode.
Now in channel mode, you see channel 122 is saved on 170.000 frequency, and now I can utilize it if I want. Okay, so that is for your basic setting in a channel. Now, as I stated previously, you guys should not be concerned with messing up your other channels you already have saved. But what I would suggest is, in your channel mode, scroll up and down and see what the maximum number of channels are. So let's say, for instance, it only goes till 25. And if you press up again, it goes back to number 1. Then you know you have 25 channels. So what is going to happen then is you are basically going to start playing from 26 upwards. If you already have a channel saved at 25, you first need to delete this channel before you can save anything else in its place. So to mess up your already stored channels is not an issue. That's why I say, guys, play with the radio. At worst, you can mess up some dire settings which will change the whole way that the radio works. And if this does happen, what's going to be the best option is just to reset the whole radio, and you just get someone to set in your channels again. But like I said, You can make those mistakes now, and your radio guy, whoever it might be, will still be available now. But if you are lost in the woods or whatever the case might be, he is not going to be on call. So then you guys will be truly and utterly, yeah. So, with that said, if we go back to frequency mode by pressing this button, what's going to happen now is I'm going to go into menu again. It will automatically go to the last item I was at, 27. And if you would press up to 28, you see the option to delete channel. Now,
Delete channel.
122 is the one I will not be utilizing.
Confirm.
Channel is deleted. Okay. So, with all the menu items, if you press menu again on that specific item, the arrow will move down, meaning that you are now able to change whatever that menu item says, and when you press up again, it confirms whatever you did. Okay. So next up is how to utilize a repeater. So firstly, to be able to explain to you guys how a repeater works, so here we have William, and here we have Christy. Now, the normal range on one of the UV-5Rs from Baofeng is about 10 kilometers. So the problem being, if William is 50 kilometers away from Christo, he is going to struggle to communicate with him on the normal UV-5R from Baofeng. You do get aerial attachments, which will definitely increase your range. But let's say, for instance, for 50 kilometers away from each other, there are certain antennas set up that are called repeaters. So how a repeater works is you transmit from your radio to the repeater, and then the repeater live broadcasts whatever you are saying. But the trick with a repeater that comes in is a repeater, to be able to open, needs a certain frequency. So there's one step added to the whole programming of a channel. Then also a repeater will receive on a certain frequency, and it will transmit on a different frequency, for the reason because if it would receive and transmit at the same time, it will basically clash if it was on the same frequency. So the fact that it's on a different frequency adds two more steps, namely offset and offset direction, which you are going to utilize. So I will show you how to use that just in a moment. Okay, so the first step of being able to set in a repeater is you want to know what the frequencies are for the repeaters within your area, right? So there's this application called Repeater Book that you can basically use. Now with this application, Repeater Book, it asks you to put in your location or to turn on your location, which I did, and then it shows the repeaters within your area. So we have a repeater called ZU9MQR, which is 4.5 kilometers away from me. Then there's another one 9.8 kilometers away, and one 14 kilometers away, and 32 kilometers away. Ideally, I would actually program all of them, and then I know as I am traveling, I will be able to utilize them as I go. So when you do go into the repeater itself, you guys will see that it says which type of band it runs on. It will say what is the receiving frequency, what is the transmitting frequency, what is the offset, and what is that special tone I was speaking about. Okay, so before we continue here, let's write down these important items on a piece of paper so it's easier for us just to work with it. Okay, so if you guys remember correctly, I deleted channel number 122. So for the purpose of this, we are going to be programming our repeater on channel 122. Okay, so firstly, we have our receiving frequency, which is 145.600, our transmitting frequency, which is 145.000, and then our offset is minus 0.6. Now, do you guys see in the receiving frequency and in the transmitting frequency, we have a 0.6 difference, okay? Because the one is 145,600 and the other one is 145,000. Now, the offset is minus 0.6. 88.6, and then the tone is 88.5. So as you guys remembered with the picture, the tone is which signals the repeater that it should open and it should actually listen and transmit the message. Okay? So first what we do is we go over to
Frequency mode.
our frequency mode and we enter in 1, 4, 5, 6, 0, 0. So this is now the frequency, receiving frequency of the repeater that we want to use. Okay. So what we do then is we go into menu and then we would go to menu option number 25. Okay. At menu 25 you see SFT/D. This stands for shift direction. Now I change it to minus. So you just use your scrolling up and down buttons till you find a small minus and
Confirm.
it confirms it for me. Now to the next option, offset. So the offset we see is 0.6. So
Offset frequency.
menu item number 26, we scroll down and then we manually input 0, 0, 0. There's a point for you. 6, 0, 0.
Confirm.
Confirmed. So how it is now is my shift direction is set to minus and my offset is set to 0.6. Okay. Currently the radio station is on 145.6000. Now what I left out is the tone. Okay. So our tone is going to be menu item number 13. But firstly I have to show you something.
Menu.
So menu, you can also manually input which part of the menu you want to go to. So if we scroll down, we have RDCS, RCTCS, TDCS, and TCTCS. Now, TCTCS, obviously transmitting CTCS, is the tone I want to transmit to the repeater so that it opens. But I only set menu option number 13 for the reason that if I also set the receiving tone, what happens is that my radio will not be able to receive any messages on that frequency unless it comes with that tone. Okay? So does it mean if it does come with a tone, I'll be the only person to be able to hear it? No, it does not. Everyone on that frequency will still be able to hear it, except for me because it didn't come with a tone. Okay. So what we do now is transmitting CTCSS.
CTCSS.
Okay. We enter the option. Now we go up so that we find 88.5 and up, 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 up. Here we go. 88.5 hertz.
Confirm.
Now it's confirmed. Okay. So press exit, go out. So just to recap, I am on 145.6000 and my receiving frequency is exactly this, 145.6. My offset is minus 0.6, so I've changed my offset direction to minus. I've changed my offset amount to 0.600, which I know then the only thing I need to remember that's important is the point where it's allocated. And then the tone I also set in now, which is 88.5. So how do I now save this channel to be able to have a certain transmitting frequency and a certain receiving frequency? Well guys, that's easy. We go into menu, go back to menu item number 27, which is memory channel. So then what I do now is I say
Memory channel.
122 is the one I want to save.
Receiving memory.
Okay, so now I have my receiving memory on 145.600, but I do not yet have my transmitting frequency. So you guys will see now, you remember the star button, the scan button, which I spoke about? If you go and you press this once, you are going to see it automatically changes to 145.000. Now what I do is I press menu again. I press menu to enter the menu options for memory channel, and then I input the same channel,
Transmitting memory.
and now it's transmitting memory at 145.000. Guys, that is my repeater set up. Okay, so okay guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run you through the menu options. There are some ones that I believe you guys will find interesting and of use, and some of them I will tell you guys just to not worry about them and leave them at default preferably. Okay, getting into it. So menu item number 1 is step, but there's one lower than that. So menu item number 0 is squelch. So what squelch is about is if there is white noise on your radio, what's going to happen is your radio will keep on transmitting that white noise. But if you want to eliminate that white noise, in other words, keep your radio off unless someone speaks, you will put your squelch a bit higher. So it's basically changing the threshold of when the channel actually opens up on your radio. Okay, so that's it for squelch. Step, guys, you remember I spoke about the scan option. So what happens is when you are going to utilize the scan option, it will scan in certain increments. So 2.5K, as seen here, I believe is your smallest. So you will always keep it at 2.5K, and then you know it will not miss a channel. Okay. Menu item 3 is transmitting power. Mine is at high, but I would suggest that you leave it at default as your radio operator sets it. Power saving mode, it's at 3. The power or the battery is fine for me, so I would leave it at 3, my honest opinion. Menu item number 4, guys, is Vox. Now you have to take note with Vox, what happens is if you switch Vox on, it means that your radio will be activated when it picks up noise. So let's say, for instance, I say, this fart smells amazing. What's going to happen is this will be transmitted automatically without me actually pressing the button. Okay, so Vox, leave it off. Wide and narrow, guys, I would just prefer that you leave it at wide or narrow, depending how your radio operator set it. So yeah, guys, this will depend on how your radio operator sets it. I will just leave it as they set it. ABR is how long your light will stay on. TDR is basically dual receive mode. So what this is about is that you remember we have two channels, channel A and channel B. Now let's say, for instance, I want to monitor two channels at the same time. Your radio will only monitor the channel where it's set at. So if the arrow is at A, it will only monitor A. If it's at B, it will only monitor B. But if you would switch TDR on, what's going to happen is automatically your radio is going to monitor both of these channels. So if there would be chatter on 145, in other words channel B, it will automatically jump to channel A, channel A, 145. It will automatically jump to channel A, and then it will let you know if someone is talking on that channel. Okay, so it's dual monitoring. Okay, beep, guys, it's your keypad beep. You can leave it off preferably, or you just want to irritate yourself and leave it on, up to you. Timeout timer is after 60 seconds of holding this button in the PTT button, what will happen is it will automatically stop transmitting. That's how I set my radio, because I don't believe my messages are going to be longer than a minute. Okay. RDCS, guys, it's the receiving tone. So if you want to turn your radio into a repeater, for instance, you can set that. Or if you want to keep the channel clear for just talking to your peeps that are in your group, then you would maybe switch that on, and you would only be able to hear their messages. But keep in mind, whoever's on that frequency is still going to hear what you are saying. You will just not be hearing what's said on that frequency unless they have transmitting DCS on. Okay, so like a repeater needs a tone, these are the same types of tones. Then you also get receiving CTCSS, which also works on the same hertz as the repeaters, but I would leave the DCS and the CTCSS are options, in other words, receiving options off, okay, because I want to hear everything that's said on those frequencies. Then for transmitting DCS, if you want to open, for instance, someone's channel who has the RDCS on, I would have it on the same DCS as them, and I'll be able to communicate with them. And then for transmitting CTCSS, I will only utilize this when I'm using a repeater, for the reason that if I need to open the repeater, it needs to be on that said frequency, which I showed you guys previously. For that repeater, it was 88.5. Okay. So menu item number 14 is voice. So the voice is on English. It was on English for the demonstration of this video. You can turn it off, or if you are multilingual, you can put it on Chinese, which I would not recommend. Then any ID, guys, do not worry about this. It's been on 80808 since the beginning. It's the default setting. I would just leave it as is. Don't worry about it. Okay, DTMFST, don't worry about it, guys. S code, don't worry about it. And then SC revert. So this will be the option of how your radio reverts back to scanning. So in other words, if I'm in frequency mode and I would now hold in scan,
Scanning begin.
it starts scanning till it's going to pick up some noise on that channel. If it picks something up and it stays on that channel, what's going to happen is it will in time automatically go back to scanning again, unless I press the PTT button and I stop the scanning, just to give you guys an idea. Okay,
Menu.
you do have your other options, in other words, your carrier option, and then also your search operation. So what that basically entails is that instead of after a certain period of time it continues, it will actually stop if someone is speaking, and it will stay there until you commence scanning again. Okay, but it's up to you guys. The time option works great for me because I will usually catch someone talking and I will press the PTT button to stop the scan. Okay, PTT ID, guys, you will leave this off. There's no need for it. PTT LT means how long it will take before your PTT ID is sent. Once again, don't worry about it. MDFA, it's your display. So in other words, I have my frequency A, frequency B. So currently on frequency A, it shows the frequency, and then on frequency B, it shows the name. So if you set in your channels with chirp, or your radio operator set it in with chirp, you will usually have names also on those channels. So what then happens is when you change MDF-B to name and A to frequency, you will always see on top the frequency and at the bottom the name. This is how mine is set currently, so that I can see the name at the bottom, but because I'm in frequency mode, you will not see a name on that side. Okay. So BCL, guys, BCL is basically busy channel lockout. I would just leave this off. Auto lock is for your keypad. You want it on and off, I would just leave it off. Shift direction, I showed you guys in the repeater. It shows a minus, a plus, or off. For your normal channels, you don't have to worry about this. The offset will be determined by the type of repeater that you're going to use. So if you're just doing normal channels, leave it at 0.000. Memory channel is how you save your channels. I showed you guys this previously. To delete the channel, I also showed you guys how to do this. Menu option number 29, 30, and 31 is all about the color of your LCD. So with that said, I can change it to purple, lovely purple, and I can switch it off as well, or I can do blue. Okay, I prefer mine to stay at orange because I believe red is the color that is the least likely to be seen on a distance, and because we don't have red, orange is the closest to it. Okay, so this is just your waiting LED, in other words your menu, your receiving LED, and then your transmitting LED. Okay, option number 32, I would leave it off, guys. Menu option number 33 is your band, so this is where you can use this button to make it VHF or UHF. I would just leave it as is. TDR, AB, do not worry about this, guys. It's for deal watch, basically. Menu item number 35, do not be concerned with it. Neither 36, neither 37. So, menu item number 38 is just your power on message. It's not much relevant, but if I switch it off and on,
Frequency mode.
then I have that message coming up. Okay.
Menu.
So going back to menu item number 38, power on message. Okay, Roger off, it sends a Roger tone after each transmission. I would just leave this off. And then menu item number 40 is reset all. So guys, I would not worry about messing up your radio, because you can always just reset it and let your radio programmer set it in again for you. But like I said, if you do not use your radio, guys, you will not know how to operate it when you actually do need it. Okay guys, so that's it for the functionality of the radio. I do hope you guys play with it a bit so that you can see how to set in your own programs and so forth. If you guys would like, leave comments if you need some more clarity on certain aspects, and I'll definitely post another video to assist you guys with that. But for everyone viewing, thank you so much for tuning in and have a lovely day.